My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 35 years old. 3 months ago, I stood outside my sister's $200,000 wedding while 500 guests celebrated inside because she decided I wasn't successful enough to attend. The small envelope I left at the reception desk that night would cost her a $2. 8 million penthouse and completely redefine what success means in our family. Before I share what happened that night and the shocking aftermath, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Only if you truly connect with stories about setting boundaries with toxic family members. I'd also love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop it in the comments below. Now, let me take you back to the evening when everything changed between my sister Olivia Parker and me. The St. Regis Hotel on Fifth Avenue looked like something out of a fairy tale that night. Crystal chandeliers spilled golden light across the marble lobby, and the soft strains of a string quartet drifted from the grand ballroom. Olivia Parker had been planning this wedding for 18 months, and from what I'd glimpsed on Instagram, she had spared no expense. I smoothed down my simple black cocktail dress, a $200 find from Nordstrom Rack, that I thought was perfectly appropriate. But as guests swept past in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos, I suddenly felt small, like I didn't belong. These weren't just wedding guests. They were Olivia Parker's new world. Tech executives, venture capitalists, the kind of people whose weekend homes cost more than most people's primary residences. Name, please. The Jessica behind the check-in desk wore a headset and held an iPad, her smile professionally bright. Lauren Hayes, I'm the bride's sister. Her fingers swiped across the screen, then swiped again. Her smile faltered slightly. Could you spell that for me? Gracemmitchell. I watched her face as she searched through what must have been a massive guest list. 500 names. Olivia Parker had told me this was the biggest wedding the St. Regis had hosted all year. I'm so sorry, Ms. Hayes, but I'm not seeing your name here, she said, looking genuinely confused. Perhaps you're listed as a +1. No. I RSVP'd directly 2 months ago. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to find the confirmation email. See? April 15th. Confirmed for 1. The Jessica bit her lip, clearly uncomfortable. Behind me, more guests were arriving. I could feel their impatience like heat on my back. Would you mind stepping aside for just a moment? Let me call the wedding coordinator. But deep down, I already knew. Olivia Parker didn't make mistakes with lists, especially not for an event she'd obsessed over for more than a year. My stomach tightened as I moved to the side, watching happy couples check in and receive their table assignments. I dialed Olivia Parker's number. She answered on the 3rd ring. I could hear the excitement in her voice, the bustle of the bridal suite behind her. Lauren, what is it? I'm about to walk down the aisle in 30 minutes. Olivia Parker, I'm at the check-in desk. They can't find my name on the list. There was a pause. Not the confused pause of someone trying to solve a problem, but the deliberate pause of someone choosing her words carefully. In the background, I heard champagne glasses clinking and bridesmaids laughing. Oh, that. Her tone shifted, becoming cooler, sharper. Did you really think you'd be invited, Lauren? The words hit me like ice water. What? Olivia Parker, I'm your sister. You sent me an invitation. That was before Michael's investors confirmed. Do you understand who's here tonight? The founding partner of Sequoia Capital. 3 board members from Goldman Sachs. Michael's entire executive team. She lowered her voice, but every cutting word landed. I can't have my underemployed sister mingling with these people, talking about her little real estate side project. It's embarrassing. Side project? I kept my voice steady, though my hands trembled slightly. I've been in real estate for 8 years. Playing with house showings isn't a career. Lauren, look, this is about Michael's future, our future. His investors need to see we belong in the right circles. And frankly, a 34-year-old single woman who can barely afford her rent doesn't fit the image we're projecting tonight. I stood there for 10 seconds, maybe more, just breathing. The Jessica was pretending not to watch me. A couple in Armani evening wear brushed past, the woman's diamonds catching the light. Somewhere in that ballroom, 500 guests were about to watch my sister marry a man whose success apparently mattered more than 2 decades of sisterhood. "I understand perfectly," I finally said. "Good. I knew you would. Maybe we can do lunch next month when things calm down." I hung up. My hands were surprisingly steady as I reached into my clutch and pulled out the small cream envelope I'd been carrying. Inside wasn't the $500 I'd planned to slip Olivia Parker during the reception. Money I'd actually scraped together despite what she thought about my finances. Instead, there was something far more valuable. Something that would have changed everything if she'd given me 5 minutes at the microphone tonight. I walked back to the reception desk. The coordinator looked flustered and apologetic, but I simply smiled and handed her the envelope. "Please make sure Olivia Parker gets this. It's her wedding gift." As I left the St. Regis that night, I thought about all the times Olivia Parker had dismissed my career choice. It started 8 years earlier when I quit corporate accounting to get my real estate license. "You're throwing away your degree," she'd said, fresh from her MBA program. "Real estate is for people who can't handle real careers." Every family dinner turned into a comparison showcase. Olivia Parker arrived with stories about new marketing campaigns, Fortune 500 clients she'd landed, 6-figure bonuses that came with her director title. Mom would beam, Dad would nod, and every head would turn to me. "How's the house selling? Going, Lauren?" Mom would ask, the tone implying I was running a lemonade stand. "It's good," I'd say, never mentioning the luxury properties I was handling, the network I was building, the clients who trusted me with major financial decisions. In their eyes, I was playing pretend while Olivia Parker conquered the corporate world. Last Christmas was especially brutal. Olivia Parker had just gotten engaged to Michael and couldn't stop talking about their combined income, their 5-year plan, the investment property they were buying in the Hamptons. "You should really think about your future, Lauren," she said, cutting into her prime rib. "You're not getting any younger, and freelance real estate isn't exactly a retirement plan," Mom chimed in, as she always did. "Olivia Parker's right, sweetheart. Maybe you could get a job at her company. I'm sure she could put in a word." I said I was doing fine, took another sip of wine. "Fine isn't thriving," Olivia Parker snapped. "When Michael's company goes public next year, we'll be set for life. What's your plan? Show houses until you're 60? I wanted to tell them about the Blackstone opportunity that had been in motion, about the portfolio I was being considered to manage. But I'd learned long ago that defending myself felt like shouting into the wind. They'd already decided who I was, the underachieving older sister who couldn't keep up. What they didn't know was that while Olivia Parker climbed the traditional ladder, I'd been building something different, something that would make their definition of success look small. The second sign I'd become invisible to my family was subtler, but somehow sharper. It wasn't just career comparisons anymore. It was being erased from Olivia Parker's milestones. When she got engaged last year, I learned through Instagram. Not a call, not a text, just a perfectly staged photo of her hand with a 3-carat diamond and the hashtag, he said yes. By the time I called to congratulate her, she'd already told 50 other people. "Oh, Lauren, sorry it's been so crazy. You know how it is." Except I didn't. I was 34 and single, something she never let me forget. The family group chat about wedding planning started without me. I discovered it only when Mom accidentally texted me a screenshot meant for someone else. There was Olivia Parker, Mom, our aunts, our cousins, everyone except me. When I asked Mom about it, she fumbled. "Oh, honey, we didn't want to make you feel bad, you know, since you're not married, since you don't have experience with these things." Like I couldn't possibly understand flower arrangements or venues without a ring on my finger. Then came the bridesmaid selection. Olivia Parker picked her 3 college roommates, Michael's sister, and 2 cousins I barely knew she still talked to. When our aunt asked why I wasn't in the wedding party, Olivia Parker laughed it off. Lauren isn't really the bridesmaid type. She's more comfortable behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, invisible. The single sister who didn't photograph well with the other couples. But the final erasure, the one that should have prepared me for tonight, happened last month. Olivia Parker posted a long, emotional tribute to the important women who'd supported her. She mentioned her mentor, her yoga instructor, even her hairdresser. My name was nowhere in those 5 paragraphs. I had become the ghost at family gatherings, the placeholder at holiday dinners, the sister who existed only when they needed someone to feel superior to. For too long, I'd let them. I'd smiled through the dismissals, stayed quiet through the comparisons, accepted my role as the family cautionary tale for choosing a non-traditional path. Ghosts have a funny way of haunting people when they least expect it. Standing outside the St. Regis, watching happy couples stream into my sister's wedding, I had a choice. I could fight for my seat at that table, cause a scene, demand to speak to Olivia Parker in person, maybe convince security to let me in. The old Lauren would have swallowed her pride and found a way to smooth things over, to shrink herself small enough to fit into whatever corner they'd allow. But as I stood there in my simple black dress, clutch in hand with that envelope inside, I realized something crucial. Some tables aren't worth sitting at. If I walked away now, if I let Olivia Parker have her perfect wedding without the embarrassment of her unsuccessful sister, I'd lose any chance of reconnecting with the extended family I only saw at weddings and funerals. Our cousins from California were inside, our great-aunt from Boston, whom I hadn't seen in 3 years. These were relationships that might never recover once word got out that I'd been excluded. More than that, I'd be cementing my reputation as the family failure. Olivia Parker would spin this story for years. How I couldn't even show up for her big day. How I was too embarrassed by my life to face all those successful people. Every gathering would include whispers about poor Lauren. Still single, still struggling, still trying to make it in real estate while everyone else thrived. But the biggest loss, the one that tightened my chest, was this. I'd forfeit any remaining claim to my place in the Hayes clan. Not just Olivia Parker's new life, but the whole family's narrative about me. I'd become the cautionary tale told to children. Don't end up like Aunt Lauren, who picked instability over a real job and ended up alone. The doorman looked at me with quiet sympathy. I must have seemed pathetic, standing there in the October cold dressed for a wedding I wouldn't attend. Can I call you a cab, miss? No, thank you. I'm fine, and surprisingly, I was. Losing the family ties, the reputation, the seat at their table. Suddenly it all felt like a small price to pay for keeping the one thing they'd tried to take from me for years. My self-respect. I thought about the email sitting in my drafts folder, the one meant for Olivia Parker tomorrow with photos from tonight, congratulating her again on her happiness. I thought about the speech I'd written but would never give, about how proud I was of my little sister. I thought about all the ways I'd planned to celebrate her, even as she systematically erased me from her life. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Where are you? Ceremony starting soon. I typed back. Olivia Parker uninvited me. I'm going home. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, there must be a misunderstanding. There was no misunderstanding. For the first time in years, everything was crystal clear. I turned my back on the St. Regis, on the warm glow spilling from its windows, on the sounds of celebration and belonging I'd never truly been part of anyway. Some bridges are meant to burn. Some doors are meant to close. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, you'll understand what happens next. Before we continue, if this story speaks to you, please hit the like button. It helps share these messages about setting boundaries with toxic people, even when they're related to you. Now let me tell you what was in the envelope I left at the reception desk, and why Olivia Parker tried to call me 47 times that night. Back at the reception desk, I pulled the cream envelope from my clutch one last time. Smaller than a typical wedding card, more like the kind that comes with flowers. I'd been carrying it for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment at the reception to slip it to Olivia Parker. Maybe during our dance, or while she was thanking guests. The Jessica watched nervously as I borrowed her pen. On the front, in my neatest handwriting, I wrote, "Wedding gift for Olivia Parker Hayes. Please make absolutely sure she gets this." "It's important," I said, sliding it across the marble counter. "Of course. Miss Hayes, I'll personally deliver it to the bridal suite." "No," I shook my head. "Not now. After the ceremony. During the reception, when she's surrounded by all those investors and executives, she mentioned the timing matters." The Jessica nodded, though she looked confused. I didn't blame her. What kind of sister leaves a gift and disappears from her own sister's wedding? The kind who's about to change the game entirely. I walked through those massive doors into the October night. The city pulsed around me. Taxis honking, people laughing on their way to dinner. Manhattan's endless Saturday night energy. Inside the St. Regis, 500 people were about to watch my sister marry what she called success. They'd toast with champagne that cost more than my monthly subway pass. They'd dance until midnight in a ballroom that looked like Versailles, and I'd be sitting in my favorite restaurant 3 blocks away, eating pasta arrabbiata and sipping a perfectly reasonable glass of Chianti, alone. As I walked, my phone stayed silent. The ceremony must have started. I imagined Olivia Parker floating down the aisle in her $30,000 dress, Michael waiting at the altar in his custom Tom Ford tuxedo, their venture capitalist friends dabbing at tears while calculating the couple's combined net worth. None of them knew what was waiting in that envelope. None of them could imagine that the absent sister, the family disappointment, the one whose name had been erased from the guest list, had left behind something that would redefine every assumption they'd made about success and failure. 30 minutes. That's how long I estimated it would take for Olivia Parker to open my gift once the reception started. 30 minutes before my phone would explode with calls I'd never answer. I turned my phone to silent and kept walking. I was halfway through my pasta when it began. My phone, face down on the table, started glowing like a strobe light. The vibrations were so intense it slid across the table. I flipped it over. The screen was chaos. 47 missed calls from Olivia Parker. 23 frantic texts. "Lauren, what is this? Is this real? Call me now. Please, this can't be real. Where are you, Lauren? Please, I'm sorry. Just call me. 15 messages from Mom. What did you do? Olivia Parker is having a breakdown. This is her wedding day. How could you do this to your sister? Answer your phone. 8 calls from Michael. I'd never even saved his number, but there it was, lighting up my screen again and again. 3 calls from numbers I didn't recognize, probably Olivia. Parker borrowing other people's phones when I didn't answer hers. The restaurant was small and intimate, the kind of place where everyone can hear your phone buzzing. Other diners were starting to stare. The waiter approached, concerned. "Is everything all right, miss?" "Perfect," I said, and I meant it. I held down the power button until the screen went black. "Could I get another glass of wine?" For the first time in years, maybe the first time in my adult life, I felt completely in control. Not because I'd hurt Olivia Parker. That had never been the point. But because I'd finally stopped accepting the role they'd assigned me, the family's designated failure. The cautionary tale. The one they could always point to and say, "At least we're not Lauren." My phone might have been off, but I could imagine the scene at the St. Regis perfectly. Olivia Parker in her designer dress, surrounded by all those important people she'd wanted to impress, holding my business card with shaking hands. The whispers spreading through the ballroom. The questions she couldn't answer. The image she'd so carefully crafted beginning to crack. And the best part? She'd done it to herself. She'd opened that envelope in front of everyone, probably expecting cash or a check, something she could wave off with false modesty. Instead, she'd found something that made her call me 47 times in 20 minutes. My pasta was getting cold, but I didn't care. For once, I was exactly where I wanted to be. The truth was, I'd been keeping secrets for months. Not malicious secrets, not the kind meant to hurt anyone, but the kind you keep when you're not sure who you can trust with your success. The email had come through on a Tuesday morning 6 months ago while I was showing a cramped 2-bedroom in Queens to a young couple. My phone buzzed with a notification from an address I didn't recognize, jthompsonblackstone.com. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam. Real estate agents get all kinds of bogus investment offers, but something made me open it. Dear Ms. Hayes, following your exceptional handling of the Riverside portfolio disposition and your innovative approach to our Chelsea development project, Blackstone Real Estate Partners would like to discuss a senior position within our New York office. I read it 3 times, standing in that musty Queens apartment while my clients debated square footage. Blackstone, the largest real estate investment firm in the world, managing over $300 billion in assets. They wanted me. The interviews had been intense, 6 rounds over 3 months, flying to their Manhattan offices, meeting executives whose names I'd only read in the Wall Street Journal. They grilled me on market analysis, portfolio management, international real estate trends, everything I'd taught myself over 8 years of what my family dismissed as playing with houses. The final offer came just 1 week before Olivia Parker's wedding. Senior Vice President of Real Estate Acquisitions, managing a $500 million portfolio focused on luxury residential properties in the tri-state area. The salary was more than Olivia Parker and Michael's combined income. The signing bonus alone was more than I'd made in the past 2 years. But there was something else. Something sitting in my safe deposit box at Chase Bank. Something I'd been planning to reveal at the wedding in the most gracious way possible. 6 months ago, right after that first Blackstone interview, I'd done something impulsive. There was a penthouse. On the Upper East Side, a 3-bedroom with floor-to-ceiling. Windows overlooking Central Park, the exact apartment Olivia Parker had dragged me to see 2 years ago when she was window shopping for her future. She'd taken photos in every room, posted them on her vision board, called it her dream home for when Michael's company went public. The owner was going through a divorce, needed a quick cash sale. With my real estate connections and the confidence Blackstone would come through, I made an offer. Cash, closed in 30 days. The key to that $2.8 million penthouse was supposed to be my wedding gift to Olivia Parker. I'd planned to stand up during the toasts, tell everyone how proud I was of my little sister, and hand her the key in front of all those people she wanted to impress. It would have been perfect. The underestimated sister giving the ultimate gift, proving success comes in many forms, but that key was still in my safe deposit box. And after tonight, it would stay there. Or rather, it would find a much better home. I already had the donation papers drawn up for the Women's Shelter of New York. They could sell it or use it for transitional housing. Either way, it would actually help people who deserved it. Olivia Parker would find out about the penthouse eventually. She'd probably recognize the address when she saw it in the donation announcement. But by then, it would be too late. Some gifts, once refused, can't be taken back. By Sunday morning, the voicemails had evolved from angry to desperate. I finally turned my phone back on to find a 127 missed calls and a voicemail box so full it had stopped accepting new messages. Olivia Parker's voice in the first message was shrill, disbelieving. "Lauren, what kind of joke is this? Blackstone, please call me back and explain." By the 10th message, she was crying. "I Googled it, Lauren. Oh my God, I Googled it. Senior Vice President, is this real? Please call me. I'm so sorry about yesterday. I didn't mean it." Michael's message was calmer but no less shocked. "Lauren, Olivia Parker is having a complete meltdown. Half our investors are asking about you. Apparently, 3 of them know you professionally. Please call us back." But it was Mom's voicemail that truly captured the family's panic. "Lauren Elizabeth Hayes, answer this phone right now. How could you hide this from us, your own family? Olivia Parker says you're some kind of executive at Blackstone, managing hundreds of millions of dollars. This can't be true. You sell houses. You can barely pay your rent. What is going on? Barely pay my rent. Even now, Even with the evidence literally in Olivia Parker's hands, they still couldn't believe it. The business card I'd left in that envelope was elegant and simple. Lauren Hayes, Senior Vice President, Real Estate Acquisitions, Blackstone. Real Estate Partners, 345 Park Avenue, New York, NY on the back, in my handwriting. I was going to announce this at your reception and give you the keys to the Riverside penthouse, the one you loved. But it seems successful people don't belong at your wedding. Congratulations on your marriage. The penthouse will be donated to charity in your name. According to the text, from my cousin Chloe Adams, the only family member who reached out with congratulations instead of demands, Olivia Parker had opened the envelope during the cocktail hour. Surrounded by at least 50 guests. She'd laughed at first, assuming it was a prank. Then someone pulled up Blackstone's website on their phone and found the leadership page updated just 3 days ago with my photo and bio. The reception essentially stopped. 3 of Michael's investors immediately recognized my name. I'd been managing their real estate portfolios for the past year, though they'd only known me through email and calls. Even the founding partner of Sequoia Capital, the man Olivia Parker, had been desperate to impress, had tried to hire me for his private family office just last month. Every assumption, every dismissive comment, every moment they'd treated me as the family failure. It all came crashing down in front of the exact audience Olivia Parker wanted to dazzle. The Google searches must have been frantic. I could picture Olivia Parker still in her wedding dress, huddled with Michael and her bridesmaids around someone's iPhone, typing my name into search bar after search bar. The first result? Blackstone's official announcement from 3 days ago. Blackstone Real Estate Partners appoints Lauren Hayes as Senior Vice President of Real Estate Acquisitions. Then the details that would make their jaws drop. Hayes will oversee a $500 million portfolio of luxury residential properties across the New York metropolitan area. She brings 8 years of experience in high-end real estate transactions, including the record-breaking Riverside portfolio disposition that generated a 47% return for investors. The Wall Street Journal piece from last month. Lauren Hayes, the independent broker who orchestrated the $127 million Chelsea development deal, represents a new generation of real estate professionals disrupting traditional models. The real deal profile from 6 months ago. The quiet power broker, how Lauren Hayes became the go-to for ultra-high net worth real estate. But the number that really stunned them sat right there on Blackstone's website. Assets under management, $1 trillion. My division alone, $15 billion. Chloe Adams's text included a photo from the reception. Olivia Parker holding my business card. Her face a mix of shock and devastation, surrounded by guests glued to their phones. Michael was beside her, his hand on her back. But his expression was equally stunned. In the background, several of his investors huddled together, clearly discussing the revelation. Everyone's asking where you are, Chloe Adams had written. 3 of Michael's investors want your contact info. They've been trying to get a meeting with you for months. Olivia Parker had to admit she doesn't even have your work email. She didn't have my work email. She didn't know where my office was. She didn't know anything about my professional life because she'd never asked. For years, every conversation had been about her achievements, her milestones, her success. Whenever I tried to share anything about my work, she'd wave it off. Oh, you're still doing the house thing? The house thing, that's what she called the career that had just made me one of the youngest SVPs in Blackstone's history. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Chloe Adams. Olivia Parker just announced she needs to leave her own reception early. She looks sick. Your mom is telling everyone you must have made a mistake on the business card. A mistake. Because even with all the evidence, they still couldn't accept that the family failure had surpassed them all. Olivia Parker spent her entire wedding reception trying to reach me instead of enjoying her big day. But the real shock came 3 days later, when she discovered what I'd done with her dream penthouse. If you're finding value in this story about setting boundaries with toxic family members, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss similar stories. I'd also love to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut off a family member who didn't value you? Share your experience in the comments below. Now, let me tell you about the emergency family meeting that changed everything. 3 days after the wedding, my phone rang. Dad. Not Olivia Parker, not Mom. Dad, who usually stayed out of family drama. Lauren, we need you at the house. Family meeting tonight at 7. I'm not coming, Dad. Your sister is devastated. Your mother is beside herself. The least you can do is explain yourself. Explain what? That I got a job promotion? That I'm successful? What exactly needs explaining? He sighed heavily. Just please, 1 hour. We need to understand what happened. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. They could have their meeting. I wouldn't be there. The family meeting happened anyway. Chloe Adams, bless her, gave me the play-by-play through texts. The entire Hayes clan had assembled in my parents' living room. Mom, Dad, Olivia Parker and Michael, 3 aunts, 2 uncles, several cousins, the same people who'd been at the wedding and witnessed Olivia Parker's meltdown. According to Chloe Adams, Olivia Parker stood before everyone, still in canceled honeymoon casual wear, and read my business card aloud like it was evidence at a trial. Lauren Hayes, Senior Vice President, Real Estate Acquisitions, Blackstone Real Estate Partners. Her voice cracked on the word senior, then came the questions from the relatives. How long has she been working there? Why didn't anyone know? Is this why she wasn't at the wedding? And then Aunt Diane, Mom's sister, spoke up. Wait, Olivia Parker, you uninvited your own sister? The room went silent. Olivia Parker tried to explain, justify, minimize. She wasn't uninvited exactly. There was a mix-up with the list, and honestly, I thought she'd be uncomfortable around Michael's business associates. I was trying to protect her. Protect her? Uncle Thomas actually laughed. Your sister is an SVP at Blackstone, and you were trying to protect her from a few startup investors? The truth unraveled. How Olivia Parker had deliberately removed my name. Called me an embarrassment. Said I didn't belong with successful people. Michael tried to salvage the situation. We didn't know about her position. If we had known, Aunt Diane cut him off. You only want Lauren around if she's successful enough. What kind of family operates like that? Mom tried to do damage control. Lauren should have told us about her job. We're her family. Why would she hide this? Chloe Adams spoke up. Maybe because you've spent 8 years telling her she was a failure. Just a thought. The meeting devolved. Relatives taking sides, Olivia Parker crying, Michael making excuses, Mom insisting it was all a misunderstanding. And everyone asking the same question, where was Lauren? I was at my apartment, reviewing contracts for a new acquisition, living my life exactly as I had for months, successfully, quietly, and without their approval. The penthouse revelation came the next morning when Olivia Parker did what she should have done months ago. She actually paid attention to my life. Chloe Adams told me, Olivia Parker spent hours combing through my social media for clues she'd missed. She found the photo I'd posted 6 months ago, standing in front of a building on the Upper East Side with the caption, "Big moves coming." Olivia Parker had liked it at the time without even reading it, probably scrolling while half distracted. But now she recognized the building. It was the same one where she'd dragged me 2 years ago to look at her dream home. A 3-bedroom penthouse with Central Park views she'd talked about endlessly. She'd even made it the wallpaper on her laptop. That's the Riverside building, she'd whispered to Michael. That's my penthouse. My penthouse. She still called it hers even though she'd never made an offer, never had the money, never did anything but dream and post photos. But in her mind, she'd claimed it. The real estate records were public. It took Michael less than 5 minutes to pull up the sale from 6 months ago. Unit 47B sold for $288 million. A cash purchase. Buyer. Lauren Hayes. Olivia Parker's call came immediately. For once I answered, "You bought it?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "You actually bought my dream apartment?" "I bought an apartment," I corrected gently. "It only became yours in your imagination. But you knew I wanted it. You knew it was my dream home." I was going to give it to you. The keys were going to be my wedding gift. I even had a speech planned about how proud I was of my little sister. How she deserved her dream home. I was going to hand you the keys in front of all those investors you talked about. The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. You were going to give me a $3 million apartment? 2.8, I replied. And yes. But then you decided I wasn't successful enough to attend your wedding. So I decided you weren't grateful enough to receive my gift. Lauren, please. I'm sorry. I was wrong, so wrong. Can we talk about this? Can we fix it? Some things can't be fixed, Olivia Parker. You didn't just uninvite me from your wedding. You erased me from your life because you thought I was beneath you. And you did it publicly on what should have been a day of celebration. I'll do anything. Please. Michael and we've been saving for years for a place like that. It would change our lives. I thought about all the times my success could have changed my life in their eyes, if they'd only bothered to look. It's already changing lives, I said. Just not yours. The donation paperwork had been signed that very morning. At 9 a.m. sharp, I met with the director of the Women's Shelter of New York in my attorney's Midtown conference room. Miss Hayes, I need to make sure you understand, Maria Santos, the director said, eyes wide. This is a $2.8 million property. You're certain you want to donate it entirely? Completely certain, I replied. I want it to house women who are starting over. Women who've been told they're not enough, who need a chance to prove everyone wrong. Yes. The tax benefits were substantial, a $2.8 million charitable deduction my accountant was thrilled about. But more importantly, the penthouse would be sold to fund the shelter's operations for the next 5 years. Or, if they chose, converted into transitional housing for 12 women at a time. That afternoon, my attorney sent a copy of the donation receipt to Olivia Parker's email. The subject line was simple. Your wedding gift has found a better home. The attachment showed everything: the deed transfer, the donation valuation, the tax documents, and a letter from the shelter thanking me for the most generous single donation in their history. Olivia Parker called 17 times in the next hour. Michael called 10. Mom called 23. I answered none. Instead, I sat in my new office at Blackstone, corner unit, 42nd floor, overlooking Park Avenue. My assistant Thomas knocked and entered with my afternoon coffee. Miss Hayes, you have 3 urgent messages from a Michael Chen, and someone named Olivia Parker has called reception 4 times trying to get past security. Thank you, Thomas. Please add them to the no-call list. He nodded without question. That's what I loved about Blackstone. Professional boundaries were sacred here. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe Adams. Olivia Parker just told everyone you gave away her apartment to charity. Uncle Thomas said it wasn't her apartment if she didn't own it. She ran out crying. I set my phone aside and turned back to my computer. I had a portfolio to manage, deals to close, a career to build. The same career they dismissed as playing with houses for 8 years. The penthouse was gone, donated, making a real difference in the world. And Olivia Parker? She was learning what it felt like to have something you thought was yours disappear in an instant. The difference was she'd only lost a dream. When she uninvited me from her wedding, she tried to take my dignity. One of those things can be replaced. The other is priceless. 2 weeks after the wedding, Olivia Parker made her last desperate attempt. She somehow found the Blackstone building address, probably from LinkedIn, and showed up at the lobby on a Tuesday morning. Thomas called up to my office at 9:15. Ms. Hayes, there's a Olivia Parker Hayes in the lobby, insisting she's your sister. Security won't let her up without your approval. I looked at the security monitor on my desk. There she was in her designer suit, arguing with the security desk. She looked smaller now, diminished. The confident marketing director who'd dismissed me at her wedding had been replaced by someone who finally understood what she'd thrown away. She doesn't have an appointment, I told Thomas. Our policy is clear. Of course, Miss Hayes. I'll inform security. I watched as security explained she couldn't access the elevator without clearance. Olivia Parker pulled out her phone and mine immediately rang. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was desperate. "I'm in your lobby, Lauren. Please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. But we're sisters. That has to mean something, sisters. We were sisters when it was convenient for her, when she needed something, when my success suddenly made me worth knowing." I composed an email instead of calling, "Olivia Parker, boundaries are not suggestions. They are not negotiable. They are not erased by apologies or blood relations. You made it clear at your wedding that success was your entry requirement for family. Now that you know I've exceeded that requirement, you want to change the rules. But that's not how this works. I wish you and Michael every happiness in your marriage. I hope your careers flourish. I hope you find your dream home someday through your own efforts. But I will not be part of your life moving forward. This is not punishment or revenge. This is a choice, the same kind of choice you made when you removed my name from your guest list. The difference is I'm making my choice with honesty instead of deception. Please don't come to my office again. Security has your photo now. Lauren." I watched her read it on her phone in the lobby. Her shoulders sagged. She stood there for another 10 minutes, maybe hoping I'd change my mind, before finally walking out into the Manhattan morning. That was the last time Olivia Parker tried to contact me directly. The family pressure continued for months, but I held firm. Some boundaries, once set, shouldn't be moved. The social consequences of that wedding night rippled through Olivia Parker's carefully constructed world in ways she never anticipated. It started with Michael's investors. 3 of them were my clients, something Olivia Parker discovered only after the wedding when they asked Michael why his wife had banned one of their top real estate advisors from the reception. The founding partner from Sequoia Capital was particularly blunt. "Your wife uninvited Lauren Hayes? The same Lauren Hayes who manages my family's $30 million property portfolio? That shows remarkably poor judgment." The startup community in New York is smaller than people think. Word spread quickly that Michael's new wife had publicly humiliated an SVP from Blackstone, someone many of them needed for their own real estate investments. 2 potential investors pulled out of Michael's Series B funding round, citing concerns about the leadership team's decision-making. But the real blow came from an unexpected source, Michael's own company. Chloe Adams heard through the family grapevine that Michael's board had called an emergency meeting 3 weeks after the wedding. Having a spouse who publicly alienated major players in the financial world was apparently not the image they wanted for their CEO. They didn't fire him, but they did institute a new policy about spousal involvement in company-related social events. Translation: Olivia Parker was no longer welcome at corporate functions. The woman who'd been so concerned about impressing investors, who'd literally uninvited her own sister to protect her image, was now herself uninvited from the very world she'd tried so hard to enter. Meanwhile, my professional life flourished in ways the family could no longer ignore. The Wall Street Journal ran a feature on young leaders in real estate, and my photo was prominently displayed. The article mentioned the $500 million portfolio I managed, the innovative deals I'd structured, the fact that I was the youngest SVP in Blackstone's real estate division. Mom sent me the clipped article with a note. "So proud of you, sweetheart. Always knew you'd make something of yourself. Always knew." The revisionist history was almost amusing. Olivia Parker and Michael's social media, once filled with glamorous couple photos and celebration posts, went quiet. The honeymoon photos never appeared. The Mr. and Mrs. posts stopped appearing. Chloe Adams quietly mentioned that Olivia Parker had taken a mental health break from work, which, in corporate language, meant she was too ashamed to show her face at the office. The golden couple who once had everything, the lavish wedding, the powerful connections, the flawless image, had lost it all in a single night. All because Olivia Parker couldn't see the worth of people beyond their job titles. 6 months passed. My family's attempts at reconciliation shifted from desperate to resigned. Mom still called every month with the same refrain. "She's your sister, Lauren. Family forgives." I would answer, "Family also respects." When Olivia Parker learns that, we can talk about forgiveness. The extended family split into two camps. Aunt Diane and Uncle Thomas, who had witnessed Olivia Parker's behavior firsthand, supported my boundaries. The others, who only knew Olivia Parker's version of events, her story of being misunderstood, thought I was being cruel. I stopped caring about their opinions. I was too busy living my life. 8 months after the wedding, I was promoted to executive vice president. With the new title came a portfolio worth $1.2 billion and a team of 12 analysts. The announcement made the Financial Times. This time, Olivia Parker didn't call. But Chloe Adams told me she had printed the article and cried at her desk. "She keeps telling people you two are just going through a rough patch," Chloe Adams said over coffee one afternoon. "That you'll come around eventually." "And what do you tell her?" I asked. "The truth. That you've moved on. That you're dating the architect from the Tribeca project. That you're happy," and I was. David was everything my family would have approved of. Successful, stable, from a good family. The irony that I found him only after I stopped caring about their approval wasn't lost on me. Meanwhile, Olivia Parker was struggling. The sister who had built her identity on being the successful one was now known as the woman who had humiliated herself at her own wedding. Michael's company had gone through layoffs. He kept his position, but the stress showed. Their Instagram perfect life had crumbled into something far more ordinary than she had ever imagined. She still texted me every few weeks. I never responded, but I read them. I think about that night every day. I'm in therapy now, learning about toxic family patterns. I was wrong about everything. I miss my sister. That last one almost got to me. Almost. But then I remembered standing outside the St. Regis being told I wasn't enough. I remembered 8 years of dismissive comments, of being treated like a failure, of having my career mocked as playing with houses. Some bridges, once burned, light the way forward. The fire of that night had illuminated a path to a life where I was valued, respected, and seen for who I truly was. And that life no longer included Olivia Parker. Today marks exactly 1 year since Olivia Parker's wedding. I'm sitting in my new office, executive vice. President now, a corner suite on the 53rd floor with a view stretching from Central Park to the Hudson River. The nameplate on my door still feels surreal. My assistant knocks. "Miss Hayes, your 3-hour is here." "Send them in, Thomas." The door opens, and Maria Santos, the director of the women's shelter, walks in beaming. "Lauren, I had to tell you in person. The Riverside penthouse sale closed yesterday, $3.2 million. The market went up since your donation. That money will keep our doors open for the next 7 years and fund our new job training program. That's wonderful." Maria, 43 women have already gone through our transitional housing program because of you. Women who were told they were worthless, who had nowhere to go, who needed someone to believe they were enough. You gave them that. After she leaves, I stand at my window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Olivia Parker is living her life. Still married to Michael. Last I heard, still working her corporate job. Still posting carefully curated photos of a life that only looks successful. She sent me a letter last week. An actual letter, not a text or email. I recognized her handwriting on the envelope and almost threw it away, but curiosity won. "Lauren, it's been a year since I made the worst decision of my life. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a response. I just need you to know that I understand now. Success isn't about titles or salaries or who has the bigger apartment. It's about being the kind of person others want to celebrate. Not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you are." I failed that test. I failed as a sister. You didn't just become successful, Lauren. You always were. I was too blinded by my own insecurity to see it. I'm not asking for another chance. I'm just asking you to know that I finally understand what I lost. Not the penthouse, not the connections. I lost my sister, and that's worth more than any apartment could ever be. Olivia Parker. I kept the letter. Not because I'm ready to forgive, but because it's proof people can change, even if it's too late. My phone buzzes with a text from David. "Dinner at 8? That new place in Soho. Perfect. Love you. My new rule is simple. I surround myself with people who saw my worth when I had nothing to prove. David. Chloe Adams, my team at Blackstone, the friends who celebrated my quiet successes long before they became public victories. As for family, family isn't just blood. It's the people who stand by you when you're invisible and celebrate you before you're impressive. It's the ones who see your worth when your name isn't on any list. Sometimes the most valuable gift you can give yourself is walking away from people who refuse to see your value. Even if they share your last name, even if they eventually learn to see it, even if they beg for another chance, because self-respect is the only success that truly matters. If you've made it this far, you understand. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from people who don't see your worth, even if they're family. What boundaries have you had to set with toxic relatives? Have you ever chosen self-respect over family harmony? Share your story in the comments below. And if this message spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear they're already enough exactly as they are. Subscribe for more stories about choosing self-worth over toxic relationships. Remember, success isn't about proving others wrong.